Module 2, Technologies and Tools, Set-2. Forward and reverse proxy. A reverse proxy is a server that sits in front of one or more web servers, intercepting requests from clients. This is different from a forward proxy, where the proxy sits in front of the clients. The reverse proxy server will then send requests to and receive responses from the origin server. Forward proxy. A forward proxy is an internet-facing proxy used to retrieve data from a wide range of sources, in most cases anywhere on the internet. A reverse proxy is usually an internal-facing proxy used as a front end to control and protect access to a server on a private network. Reverse proxy. A reverse proxy server is a type of proxy server that typically sits behind the firewall in a private network and directs client requests to the appropriate backend server. A reverse proxy provides an additional level of abstraction and control to ensure the smooth flow of network traffic between clients and servers. Transparent. Any change in a computing system, such as a new feature or new component, is transparent if the system after change adheres to previous external interface as much as possible while changing its internal behavior. The purpose is to shield from change all systems, or human users, on the other end of the interface. Load balancer. In computing, load balancing refers to the process of distributing a set of tasks over a set of resources, computing units, with the aim of making their overall processing more efficient. Scheduling. In computing, scheduling is the method by which work is assigned to resources that complete the work. The work may be virtual computation elements such as threads, processes, or data flows, which are in turn scheduled onto hardware resources such as processors, network links, or expansion cards. Affinity. Processor affinity, a computing term for the assignment of a task to a given core of a multi-core CPU. Round robin. Round robin, RR, is one of the algorithms employed by process and network schedulers in computing. As the term is generally used, time slices, also known as time quanta, are assigned to each process in equal portions and in circular order, handling all processes without priority, also known as cyclic executive. Virtual IPS. A virtual IP address, VIP or VIPA, is an IP address that doesn't correspond to an actual physical network interface. Uses for VIPs include network address translation, especially one-to-many NAT, fault tolerance, and mobility. Access point. In computer networking, a wireless access point, WAP, or more generally just access point, AP, is a networking hardware device that allows other Wi-Fi devices to connect to a wired network. An AP is differentiated from a hotspot, which is a physical location where Wi-Fi access is available. SSID. A service set identifier, SSID, is a sequence of characters that uniquely names a wireless local area network, WLAN. An SSID is sometimes referred to as a network name. This name allows stations to connect to the desired network when multiple independent networks operate in the same physical area. MAC filtering. In computer networking, MAC filtering refers to a security access control method whereby the MAC address assigned to each network card is used to determine access to the network. Fat versus thin. Originally known as just a client or thick client, the name is contrasted to thin client, which describes a computer heavily dependent on a server's applications. A fat client may be described as having a rich user interaction. FAT. File Allocation Table, FAT, is a file system developed for personal computers. Originally developed in 1977 for use on floppy disks, it was adapted for use on hard disks and other devices. Thin. In computer networking, a thin client is a simple, low-performance computer that has been optimized for establishing a remote connection with a server-based computing environment. The server does most of the work, which can include launching software programs, performing calculations, and storing data. Standalone. Standalone software may refer to computer programs that can work offline, i.e. does not necessarily require network connection to function. Software that is not a part of some bundled software. SIEM, Security Information and Event Management. Security Information and Event Management, SIEM, is a subsection within the field of computer security, where software products and services combine security information management, SIM, and security event management, SEM. Aggregation. In programming, aggregation is a type of object composition where not all the containing objects should be destroyed when the owning object is destroyed. More information on this is on difference between composition and aggregation. Correlation. Essentially, correlation is the measure of how two or more variables are related to one another. There are several correlation coefficients, often denoted OR. Measuring the degree of correlation. Time synchronization. Clock synchronization is a topic in computer science and engineering that aims to coordinate otherwise independent clocks. Even when initially set accurately, real clocks will differ after some amount of time due to clock drift, caused by clocks counting time at slightly different rates. Log/worm. Write once, read many. Worm describes a data storage device in which information, once written, cannot be modified. This write protection affords the assurance that the data cannot be tampered with once it is written to the device. DLP, Data Loss Prevention. Data loss prevention, DLP, is a strategy for making sure that end users do not send sensitive or critical information outside the corporate network. The term is also used to describe software products that help a network administrator control what data end users can transfer. Cloud-based. Cloud computing is the on-demand availability of computer system resources, especially data storage, cloud storage, and computing power, without direct active management by the user. The term is generally used to describe data centers available to many users over the Internet. Email. Email operates across computer networks, primarily the Internet. Email servers accept, forward, deliver, and store messages. Neither the users nor their computers are required to be online simultaneously, they need to connect, typically to a mail server or a webmail interface to send or receive messages or download it. NAC, Network Access Control. Network Access Control, NAC, is an approach to computer security that attempts to unify endpoint security technology, such as antivirus, host intrusion prevention, and vulnerability assessment, user or system authentication and network security enforcement. Dissolvable. Dissolving is the process that occurs when a solute is added to a solvent and the solute disappears. Agent versus agentless. Agentless, in computing, refers to operations where no service, daemon, or process, aka an agent, needs to run in the background on the machine the action is being performed on. In reality, all computer tasks require related programs to run, and these programs could be considered agents. Agent. In computer science, a software agent is a computer program that acts for a user or other program in a relationship of agency, which derives from the Latin agere, to do, an agreement to act on one's behalf. Such action on behalf of implies the authority to decide which, if any, action is appropriate. Agentless. Agentless, in computing, refers to operations where no service, daemon, or process, aka an agent, needs to run in the background on the machine the action is being performed on. Agentless programs directly access the files, often remotely, via this user account. Spam filter. A spam filter is a program that is used to detect unsolicited and unwanted email and prevent those messages from getting to a user's inbox. Like other types of filtering programs, a spam filter looks for certain criteria on which it bases judgments. DLP, Data Loss Prevention. Data loss prevention, DLP, is a strategy for making sure that end users do not send sensitive or critical information outside the corporate network. The term is also used to describe software products that help a network administrator control what data end users can transfer. Encryption. In cryptography, encryption is the process of encoding information. This process converts the original representation of the information, known as plain text, into an alternative form known as ciphertext. For technical reasons, an encryption scheme usually uses a pseudo-random encryption key generated by an algorithm. Bridge. A network bridge is a computer networking device that creates a single, aggregate network from multiple communication networks or network segments. Routing allows multiple networks to communicate independently and yet remain separate, whereas bridging connects two separate networks as if they were a single network. SSL/TLS accelerators. TLS acceleration, formerly known as SSL acceleration, is a method of offloading processor-intensive public key encryption for transport layer security, TLS, and its predecessor secure sockets layer, SSL, to a hardware accelerator.